Alright guys, we've seen Blue Bloods and 8th Grade Bites. Links to the original videos down below if you haven't seen them yet. But it is time to compare them. I'll let Liam tell you more. Alright, it's the moment you've been waiting for. We're comparing Blue Bloods and 8th Grade Bites. To get started on the comparison, let's start with the basics. These are both vampire novels. So, let's start with their portrayal of vampires. I think, in my opinion, 8th Grade Bites had a better portrayal of vampires, in my opinion. That's just me. I liked their portrayal of vampires a lot better. They seemed a lot more human. They seemed like humans with a little extra pizzazz. Like, they had to live on blood, obviously, which is the fundamental thing of being a vampire. But they seemed like human, just with a little extra pizzazz, a little extra bite, if you will. Just a few extra of those supernatural powers, that floating, that levitation, that little mind reading in there, like the little basic stuff that just like seemed to make sense, seemed to be just still human. They still seemed human, they just had to survive on blood, which is what I think of when I think vampire. Clearly the author of Blue Bloods had a different idea. Not that it's bad, in my opinion, I just liked 8th Grade Vampire better. In Blue Bloods, they just seemed a lot more like supernatural creatures. Like, their souls were immortal, and they could completely like control people, stuff like that, which may be a little more true to the mythology. I'm not saying that one is like entirely better than the other or more true to the mythology than the other. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I liked the portrayal of the vampires in 8th Grade Bites better. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about some of the plot points. The plot of Blue Bloods was very, very different, obviously, because they are two different books. One thing I found interesting was in Blue Blood, 2 out of 3 of our main characters were not aware that they were vampires. They thought they were just normal people until their veins started to turn blue, and they started having these flashbacks to Plymouth and stuff. So that was interesting because in 8th Grade Bites, Vladimir knows that he's a vampire from the beginning. He's not aware of the legality of the affair between his father and a human woman, but he knows that he's a vampire. Another bit of a more deep difference in the writing style was how 8th Grade Vampire, it was a little lighter. It was funny. Blue Bloods, while it had its funny moments, it wasn't as light as 8th Grade Vampire. So if you are picking one of these to read, Blue Bloods was definitely not as light if you're looking for a light read. Just so you know, there may be some spoilers ahead. Nothing huge, but there are some few spoilers coming up, just so you know. Let's talk a bit about the antagonists in these books. In Blue Bloods, you've got a fairly clear antagonist. It's the Croatan, whoever's been eating these other vampires. Like, from the beginning, when that girl dies at the bank, you know that, okay, so something's out there, something's killing the vampires. It's not the same in 8th Grade Bites. In 8th Grade Bites, you're not really sure who the antagonist is. At the beginning, there's no clear antagonist. Then you think it's probably Otis, which turns out to be very far from the truth. And then maybe it is, then you're not sure. Then some stuff happens and you're like, oh, maybe it is Otis. You got all these characters, Diablo, Otis, and you're not really sure who's good and who's bad, which I really, really like. It really helped you lean into that suspense and stuff, and I really like the suspense, the being in the dark about what's really going on. which was also there in Blue Bloods, that suspense about stuff. I'd say Blue Bloods was a little bit more suspenseful because at the beginning you're not even sure if these people are vampires. You don't even know what's going on. So Blue Bloods was definitely probably a more suspenseful, even though you had the perspective of 3 different people. The way that the author has written Mimi, so you're not even sure if she's a vampire, what's going on there is really, really interesting. So it's clear that the author wants you to have this suspense, and it is good suspense. I really like it. Alrighty, so that I think sums up a few of the key points in both of these books. So I would recommend you check them out. There are Amazon links to them in the description. Also my Twitter, Instagram, Discord, and Patreon links. Or if you don't want to click a link, you could just hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later, and goodbye.